On to the story now. Starting tomorrow, the National Council of Provinces will kick off its local government week, focusing on restoring the dignity of communities through improved spatial planning, human settlements, including water and sanitation services. As part of the week's activities, MPs will conduct site visits to the key areas including Dunoon, Gugulethu, Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain and Philippi. To speak to us more on this, let's now welcome Dennis Ryder, the NCOP House Chairperson. Mr. Ryder, good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to SA Today.
Good afternoon, Simpiwe, and everyone watching.
The local government week is kicking off tomorrow, right? Under the theme, restoring the dignity of communities. So what does dignity mean in practical governance terms? And how will this theme sort of translate into measurable outcomes for residents?
So, yeah, I think it's important to place the NCOP in context in answering that question. And realistically, the NCOP is the part of the national governments that where local government and provincial government are given their voice. So I think it's important for us as members to go out and assess for ourselves. Now, we've all been watching President Ramaphosa talking to the ANC councillors today at the stadium. And one of the things that he said that, there's nothing wrong with going to Cape Town to see how things should be done. There's nothing wrong with going to Stellenbosch to see how things should be done. So I think part of this visit is exactly that, going to see what's working and what's not working, but also to take a look and really this is a case of going to see the worst of the areas that we can find where housing delivery has not brought dignity to the people living in the spaces there, and to try and find out exactly what the impediments or the hurdles are for local government to provide service delivery and housing and dignity to the people living in these areas. Now, it's not a situation unique to Cape Town. I think everyone knows that. There are informal settlements all around the country. There are places with massive service delivery backlogs all around the country. But if even our best operating metro, Cape Town, is struggling to deliver that dignity to our people, it's important for us to go and have a look and see what the reasons are for them to be having this struggle. Is it a regulation? Is it national legislation that's preventing them from being able to deliver what our expectations are? And let's face it, we don't want roads that are riddled with potholes. We don't want sewage running in the streets or wasted water. We want people to live in areas that are safe and that are comfortable in an environment where they feel that they have a decent quality of life. That's ultimately what we're reaching for, and that's what we're going for ourselves to go and have a look at.
Yeah, sure. More so because the NCOP's oversight role is meant to hold municipalities accountable. But then how will this week then move beyond the symbolic visits and the panel discussions and the rhetoric to actually address the systemic failures we've seen in spatial planning, in housing backlogs, in collapsing water infrastructure? I mean, I could spend the next hour just, highlighting some of these issues.
Absolutely. I think you're quite correct. And local government is famously in a very difficult space, finding it hard to deliver decent services and being highlighted all of the time. So in order to take this matter further, I think, as I said, part of the discussion, we're going to start out hearing from the communities, what their concerns are, what their lived reality is. Then we're going to hear from the councillors, the members of the mayoral committee, and then, of course, also from the provincial officials and politicians to hear exactly what challenges they're facing. As I said, we need to get to the bottom of these issues and find out if there are regulatory or process or legislative impediments to people delivering on their mandates. And as you say, this can't just be another talk shop. We need to come up with decent resolutions that come out of this. So once we've identified what problems are, what problems exist, then it's really important for committees to take ownership of those matters and start driving the change. If it's necessary that it has to be driven through a province, if it's necessary that it has to be driven through a national department of government who is accountable for the legislation or the regulation, then it'll be up to the committees to take this matter further. And each resolution that we take as the NCOP at the end of this week will need to be picked up by one of the committees and then reported back on, certainly within the next year. So that by the time we go out on our next local government week next year, we'll find ourselves in a better position where we have made a positive change.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I mean, residents are tired of talk shop and rhetoric and big words being bandied about. And having said that, are there plans then to sort of fast-track land release and housing development in the high-pressure urban areas, or are communities likely to keep waiting for years for formal housing? I mean, how will you, as the NCOP, then ensure that the special planning decisions are not just technocratic exercises, but actually integrate access to jobs, transport, healthcare, schools, restoring dignity, and so on in a real lived way?
So I think that's exactly the heart of the matter. And I think that we have seen Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis in the last 4 years since he took office, trying to get access to land, having issues with certain tracts of land that he couldn't get his hands on. Once the land has been acquired, immediately news spreads and then land invasions happen. And then, of course, it becomes impossible to develop on the land that has been invaded. So we want to go and hear what the real issues are and find out, how can we best be, I guess, the meat in the sandwich between the local government and the national sphere of government, finding a way to make things work, make things get deliverable. Because realistically, we've been sitting with this problem for 30 years. Land reform has received great lip service, but practically it hasn't been achieved realistically for most people. We want to find out exactly why. I know Kgalema Motlanthe had his high-level panel. They came up with strong recommendations, one of them indicating that access to land wasn't the biggest impediment to resolving these matters. But it's our chance now to go and have a look for ourselves and see what we can do in the current space and time in terms of ensuring that people get access to the services that they so richly deserve.
And I certainly hope that this local government week will be a barometer for us to assess whether Parliament has been very strong in its oversight role, or whether Parliament has let the failing municipalities go on for far too long without accountability. But great chatting to you, Mr. Ryder. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Simply. We have a great afternoon.
You too. Thank you.